Good afternoon.
Hey Kartik, yes, you're audible. The screen is there, so you can go ahead.
So, can I start now?
Yes, please, sir.
So, good afternoon. It's such an honor to be able to share my thoughts with this very, very distinguished audience. I would like to run you through some of my thoughts. It's going to be rather simple, but I thought it's important. Moving on, get to the next slide. Most organizations use a very layered approach to security. And it's a very simple thought process as to why they do it. They do it because if one of the attacks take place and one of the layers is impacted, the subsequent layers would probably deter or stop that attack. The next slide. However, this is not always true. There are exploits that happen, and there are times when the attackers do find the chinks in the armor and get through. Next. What do you think the board is thinking about? What's running through their minds? There are 5 questions that essentially come up. The board wants to figure out where are they exposed, or where is the company exposed? What should they focus on first? How mature are the processes they use? Is the exposure reducing over a period of time? And how do they compare to their peers in the industry? Moving on, we would realize that what do consultants say? Most consultants that advise their customers always say, protect your crown jewels or protect your most critical assets. The next thing they say is, try and analyze where do you think you have the highest potential of a risk, or where is it that you are going to have a breach, and how do you manage the breach? And the next thing they will also say is remediate quickly. And the reason to remediate quickly is you reduce the damage. But it's easier said than done. It's not so easy to do all of this. And the question that comes in people's mind is, but how? How do we do all this? Moving on. So how do we fix this really, really simple issue? And then one way is to look at dashboards. Every single product comes with its own dashboard. There's a lot of information that you have on these dashboards. These dashboards are actually important. They're important from an operational standpoint. The operation people need to know where are the issues, how are they going to patch it, how are they going to fix it. And so from their perspective, these dashboards are really, really important. But are these dashboards important to the management? The management would prefer to have a simple dashboard. They would like to have a dashboard that will help them understand where they stand. So let's look at some of the elements of these dashboards. And these dashboards, which are simple, moving on to the next slide, will show you a simple dashboard which answers the 5 questions that the board had thought of. The first one is, are you mature? Are your processes mature enough? And the assessment maturity part of the dashboard will show you how mature are you. The second part of it is, what are my critical assets? Can you go back to the previous slide? How are the critical assets and vulnerabilities then? Are you safe or are you exposed? And finally, you can see how you are trending against your peers and counterparts in the industry. For the management to be able to get a quantifiable score that would help them understand where they are at a given point in time tells them whether their security posture is adequate or inadequate. Which are the areas that they really need to work on to fix? That's where the whole dashboard starts making a lot of sense to a management. The security framework or the cybersecurity framework or the cyber exposure life cycle, so to say, aligns really well with what the consultants have been discussing with customers. Access or assess really is the point where they say, assess your critical assets, find out or discover those critical assets of yours so that you know that you have business continuity. And if they are breached, you know which are the ones that you need to protect the most. So that is in line with the first one that the consultant said. We need to protect our crown jewels or critical assets. The second part is analyze. And that aligns with the consultant's second part, which talks about what is the risk. So, analyze helps you analyze the risk in case a breach takes place. How and what is going to be the impact of it? The next stage is fix, which, according to the consultant, is remediate. Remediate quickly. And that's where that fix part comes in. So, how do you fix and what do you fix? But the most important part and the biggest differentiator is the ability to see your cyber exposure score. So, to be able to measure it, to be able to monitor, and to be able to manage this cyber exposure score will help managements to make better business and technological decisions. What do they need to invest in? Where do they need to invest? And what do they need to do next? And over a period of time, when the cycle comes all the way around, they can measure to see have they done the right things or they haven't. The most important part of the whole process and what people mostly confuse vulnerability management is vulnerability management to most means something that's going to tell them how vulnerable they are. And in my opinion, it's not how vulnerable you are, but vulnerability management systems, methodologies really are a tool to help organizations really understand where they are vulnerable. And with the shortage of funds and budgets, it also helps you nail down the places where you need to invest. It'll tell you which are the areas that if you were to invest would give you the best bang for the buck. And so the vulnerability management system is not something good to have. It's something that is a tool which helps you really do three things. It brings down the cost. It brings down the risk. And with both these things down, it helps in the growth of revenue. So, looking at this entire process, the cyber exposure lifecycle or the framework really helps top management get a view of where they are at even any given point in time, and also it helps them take the right decisions. That's for today, and I thank you for it. But you know what? If you're more interested in this and you would like to get more information on it, please reach out to me at kshahani@tenable.com.
Thank you, Mr. Shahani, for that really interesting and very crisp presentation and sharing your insights. And we will definitely get back to you if there are any questions about the technologies. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
With that, we would like to conclude the keynote sessions for the day. Please stay tuned in for a power pack 1.5 day ahead of the FinSec Summit with several parallel sessions and several other keynotes coming up. Thank you so much.